Give it up for Hearts on Fire again. Up next will be Reservoir Frogs.
We don't have walk-on music. I can't stop the walk-on music. I can't walk on.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I didn't hold up.
Thanks for being here. We are the Reservoir Frogs. Based on the inspirational story, I chose the reheated gumbo. That gave me an image. The moon and an interspecies space alien couple. These characters are going to create a story of low morals and high ambitions. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dayn. I spell that D-A-Y-N, Dayn. And you know, it's always been my dream to go into outer space and see some islands, but I just never have had the opportunity. So I have recently put my application into NAYSA. Yeah.
I'm Chuck Billings. Astronaut. Just one little problem. I'm horribly afraid of heights. Been hiding this fact for years, and frankly, since they trashed the space program, it's never been an issue. But fuck, they're sending me up!
Hi there. I'm Bill Atkinson, NASA administrator. I fucked up the whole space program because of budget cuts. Yeah, America!
Dayn, I'm gonna be the next astronaut.
Chuck Billings. They never said I'd actually have to do my job.
Bill Atkinson, NASA administrator. Budget cuts, saving America's money.
Where did my dream start? Well, when I was, I'd say maybe 5 or 6, my mammy and my pappy took me down to the bayou to a little mommy and pappy store, and we had us some gumbo. Now, this was the type of store that made the pot days in advance, and then when they served it, they just popped her in the microwave and sat it in front of you. So it was a little bit congealed with all the little bits and pieces all kind of hanging out.
Something important that you need to know about this story is that NASA is different than NAYSA.
And as I was looking at my food, it's the first time as a 5-year-old that I had ever eaten gumbo. So I was looking at it, and all I could do in my little toddler, well, I guess I was a little older than a toddler, but you get the drift. In my little young mind, before I reached the age of reason, that little piece of sausage looked a little bit like the moon, and that piece of crawdad looked a little bit like the rings of Saturn. And so I was just thinking that I needed...
Oh, you know, I had dreams like any other kid. I mean, most kids dreamed of going to space. I dreamed of having a job that I didn't have to do anything. And turns out that made you supremely qualified in the post-Doge age. Yep, they ripped through in 2026 and just canceled anything that actually did anything, which sounds terrible, and it was terrible, but it left the whole organization just hollowed out, waiting for someone to have the nerve to come in, put their feet up, and just look really good on camera. And that is what I do.
Get my left side. That's my better side. We have saved so much money here at NASA after Doge and canceling Artemis and deorbiting the ISS and shutting down Mars Pathfinder and even turning off Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. I have nothing to do.
So, as you can guess, the story worked its way to where I am now quite naturally. You see, from the gumbo with the sausage and the shrimp, all of the pictures on my mammy and pappy's refrigerator was all of me going to a shrimp-like planet. And then all of my high school was me just talking about NASA. Indeed, my Eagle Scout project was creating a rocket to reach into the lower or upper atmosphere.
Do you know the best part about being an amazingly good-looking astronaut for a country's space program that has no longer any interest in space or science? No one asks you to do anything. No one ever said, "Hey, Chuck, do you know about climate science?" Nobody asked that. There was no budget for climate science. Bill made sure of that. He was good at one thing, and that was cutting.
So, my next logical step after reaching the upper atmosphere as an 18-year-old in my own self-built rocket in the hills of Alabama, I decided that I would create NASA right from the ground up. And I called all the astronauts, and there was only one that answered my phone call. Now, of course, I'm not sure he understood that this was my space program, but
I got a call from NAYSA. Said, "I already work for NASA." He said, "No, NASA." He said, "I want to send you to space." And told the voice on the phone, "I've never actually been to a higher altitude than Fort Lauderdale."
It turns out that Chuck didn't know there is not oxygen in space.
So they keep talking about all these things that I cut. Like climatology satellites. We don't need that. Climate is fake news. There's no such thing as a climate.
so as a play on words, I just told Chuck that we was going to go to outer space and the rocket was going to help us climb it. Climb up into the atmosphere. And it was my dream. And oh, you want me to fast forward the story? All right, I can do that. See, we did go into outer space. Now, you might not want to know what we found there. Oh, you do? All right. Well, maybe I'll let Chuck tell the first story of the first thing he saw in space when he realized there was no oxygen up there.
Screamed for 37 hours straight. I didn't think that hillbilly's rocket would work. I didn't think it was a real rocket. I thought it was just another soundstage, like we filmed the moon landing, we filmed the Mars landing, We filmed Elon's arrival on Venus. It was all sound stages, and suddenly I find myself 100 miles above the surface of the Earth.
The majority of the budget cuts that Doge made went to sound stages, to fake moon landings and Venus landings.
The first thing I did when I realized that I was actually in orbit, well, after vomiting, after the 37 hours of continuous screaming, was to get Bill on the phone. The United States hadn't sent a rocket into space for a generation, and I tried to get him on the radio, and then I heard it ringing from the back of the ship.
So I'm sitting at my desk, and I get a phone call from Morning Joe on MS Now. They were doing an expose on something called NAYSA. And I think they got a little confused because I'm the administrator of NASA. And what they wanted to know, because what they heard from the people in Alabama, I don't know what the hell this is, they probably made it up at a Waffle House. They wanted to know how the fart-powered rockets worked.
Well, you see, I am a true hillbilly, so I took off the muffler off my rocket and I put glass packs on it. Now, if you don't know what that means, because none of y'all's from the hills of Alabama, glass packs make your car louder so that you irritate everybody down the street as you're roaring down there just to make yourself look cool because your car's loud. Well, that's me. That's what I like to do. So I made my rocket loud. I mean, the climate was for shit, so I didn't care if I killed any straggling Canadian geese or nothing. I mean, fuck Canada, right? So, well, we were up there in space, and poor old Chuck vomiting and screaming for 37 straight hours. He completely missed our slingshot around the moon. I mean, we just skipped that whole thing. Landing on the moon, yeah, that's already been done. So I figured we'd be going to the moons of Saturn, right? Where
Dan told me we'd be headed to the moons of Saturn. I assume that's a planet. I've heard of Saturn before. Sure, it's a thing. It exists. It's the one with the rings, right? I kept calling my boss frantically, and I kept hearing his ringtone from the back of the ship.
I kept telling him that more than one planet has rings. He didn't want to hear it. He's like, yeah, but all the diagrams only show Saturn with rings, so that's the one with rings. Like, you're a fucking astronaut. How can you not know this?
It's a branding issue. You have the planet with rings, you have the blue one, you have the big one, you have the red one, but not the big red one. Come on, you can't just have more than one planet with rings. It just ruins the effect.
37 hours later, after his rant was over about the rings of Saturn, we reached Titan. Now, Titan is one of the moons around Saturn. That was where we was specifically heading. I don't know why, I just like the name Titan. I own a truck that's a Titan. So, you know, I mean, potato, planet, car, moon, whatever.
Fun fact about rings on planets, Uranus has a sideways ring.
It was about hour 74, math, that I realized I was not getting through to Bill. And the Earth kept getting smaller and smaller. And I finally wondered, what the hell is making all that racket back in the cargo hold?
So I said, hey Chuck, why don't you go back in the cargo hold and check out the catalytic converter? I don't think it's working quite right. So I just told him, I was like, we're a little overweight. I think we're gonna crash land on Titan.
I don't know much about spaceships, but I don't think they convert Cadillacs. There's gotta be a better explanation.
Really? He thought I said Cadillac. I said catalytic, right?
So I was rummaging around in the back of Dan's ship, looking for the Cadillac converter. And who do I find taking a nap? Then Bill. He'd been back there for days, just hanging out. Like he hadn't noticed the complete and total lack of gravity. That he hadn't noticed the stars going by outside. That he hadn't noticed that suddenly NASA had one-upped NASA by an entire fucking interstellar spaceship.
That diet must be working. I'm feeling a lot lighter on my feet. Wait a minute.
It took me another 37 hours to convince Bill we weren't on a soundstage. I don't know how I ever would have accomplished it if Dan hadn't come in and offered astronaut ice cream. Weirdly, that's all it took to convince him.
Caramel and toffee chunks. It's my favorite. That's what I served them. It calmed everything down, and then I broke the news to them. We were heading for a crash landing in about 15 seconds onto the moon of Titan that's around the planet of Saturn. Now, I don't know what ran through their mind at that time, but their eyes got all biggy like a big old croc sitting in the bayou waiting for its meal. And I just remembered, as I saw their big old eyes, my dream with the gumbo and the sausage and the shrimp. And, now Chuck's a short guy, and, Bill's not particularly tall, but he is a bit spicy.
So, my fear of heights is less of a fear of being high up and more of a fear of being high up and then not being high up. I feel like it's a perfectly rational thing to be afraid of falling. And that planet was just coming real fast.
So I hired Chuck because he was a certified NASA, I should say it right, NASA astronaut. And I figured he could pilot us in an emergency. Boy, howdy was I wrong.
I can pilot a pontoon through Fort Lauderdale. That's the pilot license that I had, and that is why NASA hired me, because I can show investors a good time. I've never flown a spaceship. These things aren't even supposed to exist. Who built this? Why?
I don't understand why the sky is black.
It makes sense that Bill would think that he was on a soundstage, even though he was in zero gravity. It's because they funneled all the money from all of these services from around the world in Doge and just put it into making zero gravity sound stages.
It was my first crash landing. I have to say, I think it went pretty well. I think it went pretty well. The fact that I was still breathing and breathing air, not whatever is not air, I think was a fantastic sign. I congratulated Dan.
Well, it was a fantastic sign that we had all survived. I mean, well, Bill lost a leg, but it was a fantastic sign that we had all survived the crash landing on Titan. But we looked out our little porthole, because, you know, ships have portholes, and we were looking out it, and we seen these creatures walking by, and they're like all these ganglies just waving around, and I'm like,
Kind of like Burning Man, but black sky instead of blue. I did the only thing a truly classically trained bullshitter can do, and that was hide. I was not prepared for this. NASA didn't prepare me for this. Hell, the NASA training manuals that I dug out of the back didn't mention any of this. Why even make training manuals?
oh yeah, those training manuals. Well, I just found a bunch of old like junk cars from the 1980s and their training manuals, and I just ripped out pages whenever the part made sense for my rocket.
Found the Cadillacs.
And so I was like, you know, what's the worst that can happen? I'm trapped on this planet because I can't rebuild the rocket because we just crashed and I don't have any more junkyards. So I decided that we was just gonna go outside. So I opened the door. I went outside. I decided I was gonna frolic with the aliens.
Who opened the door?
Turns out, Titan, breathable. Smells like a Waffle House. Didn't see that coming. But yeah, I honestly was prepared to die in that moment. I started screaming, like you do. But then the smell of grits and bacon and pleather that's been there for 50 years.
So we was gonna fast forward just a few more years, and I have to say, surprisingly, the only one who found himself a girlfriend was Bill. I mean, one-legged, crotchety old man moneybags Bill. Apparently, Earth money is something that the aliens like. So it made me wonder, have they been to Earth and I didn't know about it? Was all them UFO videos from the 1940s true? I mean, probably, because there's aliens here and they know what our money looks like. I mean, I don't remember any of the stories with all the gangly arms, but I was a little bit lonely.
Those ganglia arms are real useful in the bedroom. I'm telling you.
Earth billionaires love money so much and they refuse to pay taxes because they're actually from outer space and they love our money.
Epilogue. It was actually not too bad. Turns out, Titan, kind of like Earth. It's darker, colder, it snows methane. I never really got the hang of the whole tentacle thing, ganglia. Bill says, you know, just gotta win on Titan, do as Titans do. Never really found my place amongst these strange aliens, but in a way, I did eventually make contact with their version of a government, and I did eventually work my way into the halls of power, where I proceeded to just decimate their space program with ineptitude and corruption.
Bill Atkinson, regrown ganglia leg, regional vice president of Titan Regional Waffle House. We have 47 Waffle Houses across Titan, the moon of Saturn. And free French toast sticks for everyone.
So, I was sitting there wondering what I was gonna do. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have a rocket. I mean, I got my dream. I went into space and I went and met some aliens, but now I'm just lonely. So I kind of hermitaged myself out, kind of like a little crab in its shell, but it was me sitting in a little shell-like contraption that the aliens use for mobile homes, up on top of a hill, which was really a mountain because they don't just have hills on Titan, because Titans are big, and so everything on Titan is big except for Bill. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I got my dream, but then I was alone, and I died alone at the age of 98. Not being able to build nothing, not being able to fly, not being able to go to space, and no companionship.
Thank you. This has been our story about NAYSA, the National Aeronautics and Yeehaw Space Administration.
Andy Christian.
Adam Dowds. Thank you. And we return you to our host.